What have I done to you to make you beat me these 3 times? Because you have mocked me. If only I had a sword, I would kill you now!
In the plains of Moab, the Israelites camped near the Jordan. Their numbers were great, their victories were many, and King Balak was afraid.
This people who came out of Egypt cover the face of the earth. They defeated the Amorites. What will become of Moab? Go to Balaam, son of Beor. Tell him, a people has come out of Egypt. They cover the land and are settled near me. Come now, curse them for me. Perhaps I shall be able to defeat them and drive them away. King Balak says, come at once and curse this people for me. Stay here tonight, I will bring back to you the word that the Lord speaks to me. And God came to Balaam that night. Who are those men with you? Balak, king of Moab, has sent to me. He wants me to curse Israel.
The identity of the diviner, gifting versus covenant. Baalam, the son of Beor, is a unique and cautionary figure in Scripture. Unlike the prophets of Israel, such as Moses or Samuel, he is identified in Joshua chapter 13, verse 22, as a kosam, a diviner. While he possessed a genuine ability to hear the voice of God, he functioned as a prophet for hire, rather than a servant within the covenant community. He represents the outsider who has access to divine speech, but refuses to submit to divine authority. This distinction is vital. Balaam proves that one can be an instrument of revelation without being a product of regeneration. 2. The king's request and the heart's compromise. When the Israelites camped in the plains of Moab, King Balak was paralyzed by fear. Recognizing that Israel's strength was supernatural, he sought a spiritual solution. He sent a prestigious delegation to Balaam with the fees for divination in hand, requesting a curse upon Israel. God's initial response to Balaam of absolute, "You shall not go with them, you shall not curse the people, for they are blessed." Numbers chapter 22, verse 12. However, when Balak sent a second, more distinguished group of officials, promising greater honor, wealth, and status, Balaam's heart wavered. Though he spoke with religious orthodoxy, claiming he could not go beyond the word of the Lord, he invited them to stay, hoping God might change his mind. This is the way of Balaam, treating God's clear no as a starting point for further negotiation. 3. The mercy of obstruction, the donkey and the angel. God permitted Balaam to go, but his motives were so corrupted by greed that God's anger burned against him. On the road, the seer became spiritually blind. The irony of vision. The donkey saw the angel of the Lord with a drawn sword, while the world-renowned diviner saw nothing. The theological rebuke. 3 times the donkey turned away to save Balaam's life. 3 times Balaam struck her. Finally, God opened the donkey's mouth. The lesson? The talking donkey is a stinging rebuke to human pride. A mute beast of burden possessed more spiritual discernment than the famous prophet. It serves as a reminder that when we are driven by ambition, we often interpret God's protective obstructions as mere inconveniences. The 7 altars, attempting to negotiate with God. Upon arriving at the heights of Moab, Balaam attempted to use ritual to change God's mind. His strategy involved a systematic attempt to buy a curse through sacrifice. The ritual pattern. On 3 separate occasions, at Kirjath Huzoth, the top of Pisgah, and the top of Peor, Balaam commanded Balak to build 7 altars, prepare 7 bulls and 7 rams, offer a burnt offering on every altar. Balaam hoped that by multiplying the sacrifices, totaling 21 altars and 42 animals, he could persuade God to withdraw his blessing from Israel. He treated the Almighty like a pagan deity who could be swayed by the aroma of sufficient payment. The failed manipulation. Despite the smoke of the sacrifices, God remained unmoved. Each time Balaam stood to speak, the Spirit of God took control of his tongue. Instead of a curse, a torrent of blessings flowed. First oracle. He declared Israel's distinctiveness as a people dwelling alone. Second oracle. He affirmed God's immutability. God is not a man that he should lie. Numbers chapter 23, verse 19. Third oracle. He described the beauty and strength of Israel's tents. Fourth oracle. He prophesied the messianic star. A star shall come out of Jacob, a scepter shall rise out of Israel. Numbers chapter 24, verse 17. The doctrine of Balaam, corruption from within. Unable to defeat Israel through the front door of a curse, Balaam suggested a backdoor approach. he advised Balak to use the women of Moab and Midian to seduce the Israelite men into idolatry and sexual immorality at Baal Peor, Numbers chapter 31, verse 16. He realized that if God would not curse them, he could entice the people to bring a curse upon themselves through disobedience. This is the doctrine of Balaam, mentioned in Revelation chapter 2, verse 14, leading God's people into moral compromise for personal gain. 6. The final verdict. Balaam's end was as violent as his life was conflicted. During Israel's war against Midian, he was executed by the sword, Numbers chapter 31, verse 8. He died not as a celebrated prophet, but as a casualty of the very pagan system he refused to leave. Key theological takeaways. Theme: lesson, sovereignty. God's blessing cannot be bought, bartered, or reversed by human ritual. Discernment: greed blinds the wise, while the humble, the donkey, see God's hand. Integrity: spiritual gifts and prophecy are no substitute for spiritual fruit, obedience. Compromise: if the enemy cannot destroy you, he will try to corrupt you. The New Testament refers to Balaam 3 times, and each reference presents him as a warning, not a model. In 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 15, he is described as one who loved the wages of unrighteousness, highlighting his greed and willingness to misuse spiritual influence for personal gain. Jude chapter 11 speaks of those who rush for profit into Balaam's error, emphasizing reckless ambition and corruption driven by reward. In Revelation chapter 2, verse 14, Jesus warns the church at Pergamum about holding to the teaching of Balaam, explaining that he instructed Balak to entice Israel into idolatry and sexual immorality. In every case, Balaam represents compromised leadership, someone who had access to the truth but used his influence to lead others into sin for personal gain. The danger is not only false doctrine, but also the misuse of spiritual authority for personal gain and the leading of others into subtle forms of disobedience. The protection was not based on Israel's perfection, they later fell into sin, but on God's covenant faithfulness. The principle is this: when God has declared blessing over his people, external curses cannot overturn it. However, while curses could not defeat them, internal compromise nearly did. So believers rest in God's protection, but must guard their obedience.